but Conductor exists to empower entrepreneurs, innovators, small business owners, small business leaders. And we do that through workshops like today, through one-on-one consulting with our team, through pitch competitions, networking events, and then, of course, the Arnold Innovation Center, which is powered by Common Corporation, which is a low-cost co-working space. In addition to everything that we do is also at no cost. So excited that you guys are here, everyone online, and so glad that you guys are joining us as well. And we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you guys so much for being with us today. We're excited to learn from you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So my name is Whitney Burgess-Skills. I'm the Vice President of Strategy at MHP Team SI.
And I'm Christopher Davis. I'm the Content Studio Manager, so I handle all of the social media and just the online platforms.
So what we're going to talk about today is really maximizing video content development and how to actually execute those plans to really engage with your customers online. A little bit top line about MHP Team SI. We are headquartered in Little Rock, Arkansas. We have about 150 employees, mostly in Little Rock, but we also have a second office in Bentonville. We also have a base out of Tampa, Florida, and we continue to grow. We have vertical categories specifically in business to business, higher education, healthcare, banking and finance, automotive, ag equipment, you name it. We are very intentionally diverse in what we do and the different types of clients that we work with to really bring those clients and opportunities to different industry verticals.
Yes, and before we go any further, I'm very interactive. I like to talk to people, so I want to know like what types of entrepreneurial businesses the people in the room have. First one.
I'm an MBA student.
Okay, so you have a business.
I as well. I'm just undergrad, you know.
Got an undergrad and I work for a small marketing company.
Okay, okay.
And I have a marketing company.
Okay, and what are some of the areas you cover?
Graphic design, web design, social media management.
Cool. Just want to know. I'll ask a few questions here and there, and feel free to stop us and ask questions. Again, our talk today is about video, but we are well versed in a lot of topics.
Yes. So the main things we're talking about today is really why video and understanding why this is the content development that everyone needs to focus on, especially as you're planning your 2024 efforts from a marketing campaign. Understanding the why, the audience, why is the type of platform to really focus in, maximizing your efforts and really thinking about how to do that on a budget, because one of the top reasons why people aren't doing video for their campaigns is the perceived cost of creating video, as well as Chris will talk about really how to execute that in social media and your own channels, and some tips as we go. So a lot of times when people and businesses are thinking about how people are engaging with video, the first thing they think of is, this is a family that's watching it all together and super happy on one screen. In reality, it's mostly a family with one person on the phone, somebody watching the television, the child is watching something on an iPad, completely different. All these sounds are all happening at the same time. Because what's happened now is that we are thinking about, when we're consuming content, it's in a multi-screen type of way. Think about how often you have something screening of your casting on one screen, your social media on the other, and it's really thinking about how those different things come together. So when you're thinking about how to push a message through for that, you have to think about a multi-screen universe that people are consuming content in. On average, household has 11 different mobile devices connected to the Wi-Fi at any given time. So all of those things, when you're thinking about how to map and reach your clients and your new customer base, you have to figure out how to reach them on all those different platforms and really be able to break through the clutter with your message. A couple of stats that talk about why are we really talking about video today? What's really the push for this in 2024? The first would be that the average US adult spends 8 hours and 5 minutes with digital media each day. 90% of consumers say that video can help them make a purchase decision. And they're using that type of content to learn about what they're doing, because 79% would rather watch a video than read text. This is not a hard thing to say, like, yeah, that's probably true about me too. The projection from 2020 is that in 2 years, 82% of all consumer internet traffic will be video. So it's understanding that even 3 years ago, the anticipation of how much video content we're going to be consuming across channels is likely to take up the majority of the type of content that we're engaging with. So it really comes down to, as a business, why are we making more content? Why are we making more video content specifically? Well, the top reason, as I mentioned earlier, is that it has the perception of how much is it going to cost to do it. There's also how much time it's going to take to do it, because it seems like a very, especially if you're an entrepreneur or business owner, I've got to run a business and I've got to make the product and I have to also do the social media. And creating video content is not just typically one shot gets it right. So there's a lot of pieces and being able to manage all those different elements of it. Other people think unclear ROI, return on investment. Because video production is high value and can be high cost, am I getting a return on it? Is this actually converting customers? Are people coming into my store? Are they buying online? How can I show and justify the type of content that this actually gets for me? We also know that 70% with all of these barriers and all the reasons why we shouldn't do it, or it's hard, or all these barriers to entry, 70% even just this year plan on being video users in their marketing plan for the first time. So we're seeing this growth. Everybody needs to be in video content. And there's so many different types of video content. It's not just commercials that we think about. It's not just the Super Bowl ads. It's also thinking how the different type of content has a different purpose. Sometimes, like for example, today we're going live. That's a type of content that matches with the marketing plan to reach a consumer that you're trying to come in and engage with the conductor program. When you think about product videos, explainer videos, demonstrations, user-generated content, increases trust and brand loyalty for people to opt in. This is the new testimonial. It's having user-generated content because of its authenticity, so it creates a trusted perspective of the type of thing that's being sold. That's why we like it better. 360 and virtual reality. That's a big piece that's going to continue to grow. And thinking about how that also fits in to your marketing plan and figuring out what's the right video content for the right time to talk to the right audience. The hardest part is figuring out, with all these different things, which one should I do? Because even just this list is a lot of different things to try and figure out how to pay for, how to execute, and how to reach your customer base in a way that gets them to buy things. So the truth is, it comes down to making a plan and prioritizing your goals. At the end of the day, everything in marketing is always going to come down to your basic formats. What is it that you want to do? Define a measurable goal. Figure out who wants to buy it. Then figure out how you can create the right content for them. For example, I do a lot of work with business to business. So people who are trying to reach C-suite officers, trying to have that content engagement, and the type of video and content that a CEO wants to engage with is not necessarily the same thing that's going to sell something on your Etsy shop. It's got to be customer testimonials. It's got to be case studies. And it's got to be high quality and still quick. Because this person who's a CEO still has the same consumer behavior habits. You got to capture somebody within the first 3 seconds. In fact, if someone goes to your website and doesn't find what they're looking for, within 3 seconds, they will abandon you, have an overall negative brand perception, and you're unlikely to ever get them back to the customer. So when you're thinking about that audience and you're mapping out your plan, it's got to be, who am I trying to talk to? What do I want them to do? And what's the best way to do it? One of the worst things that you can do is make a video with no plan of how it's going to get to people. Making content for the sake of creating content is a bad strategy. It will be very hard to measure the return on the investment for that action program. By having a plan and mapping out and deciding what you want it to do, then you can start to test things, try new things out, and be able to do the next part, which is atomizing. Atomizing meaning how to make things one time and then use it everywhere. If it's, I know that I'm going to have an email program, so then how am I going to have a GIF of the teaser to get people to then click on it and then watch the product come up? Thinking about how the pieces work together, so when you are making the investment for content development, it's really focused on how does this fit in all these different places, having a plan of how it's going to be executed. And the last piece that I have before Chris talks about really what it means to execute these pieces is start with your own channels. You own your social media channel. You own your website, you own your email database. Think about how to actually get in front of your current customers and keep that brand loyalty. It's going to be a key piece of being able to grow the right types of customers that you want to engage with. So thinking about own the channels first, Social media is gonna be the best way to engage an audience and to push brand first, build that trust, loyalty, and be able to engage with products and demonstrations.
It's me. Okay, so now that we got all the smarts out the way, thank you, Whitney. We can talk about execution and a little bit more of what I do. So mainly a lot of what I do is social media, but as you can tell from this presentation on video, social media has really changed in the last few years. The landscape is more oriented for video and for authentic video. The days of taking your commercial that you make and posted it on your social media channels are basically over. And so the way that we approach video from social media lens is important. And if you want to like make your bang and your value per dollar, it's important to figure out how to articulate your whole marketing plan to include video and how it can be used on social media. This is just some pictures, because I'm a visual person, of like us getting out there and doing the work and being in the field. So if you want to do low cost video and entry level video yourself, it's about getting out there and doing it. This is the cheapest way to teach yourself. Use what you have, your iPhone. I have a camera, but I can shoot a commercial on an iPhone. A lot of people on TikTok can show you how to shoot commercials on iPhones because what you have is enough. It just takes a little strategy, a little skill, or you can like upgrade to a fancy Sony. I also have a Sony. And then whenever I'm trying to get value per dollar and create something really, really cinematic, I outsource to a professional. So we're going to talk about video formats and sizing. So there are 3 different types of sizes for video. Like we talked about earlier, getting that value per dollar and thinking about teasers and where you're going to place this video. The cool thing is like video is king and a lot of people's apprehensions about making video. And this can help you like if you're pitching to a client, telling them to like maybe take some budget from somewhere else and use it for video. So say you have a $5,000 budget, what you can do is still create, like in one shoot, use that budget for that, but you can have these 3 different formats. And so you have a square for any platforms that you can see it square on. You can also write it as ads using the horizontal layout on YouTube pre-roll, on connected TV, so those Hulu commercials, things like that. And people tend to not think that you can create a video that has like a social media-esque air to it, or if you create one video campaign, it can be used in multiple ways, especially if the videographer you use, and this is what I mean calling videos, knows how to reformat for the different sizes. So now we spent our budget on a video, but it can be placed in many different places, tweaked and edited and used on multiple platforms and ran as ads. So that's important for getting that value per dollar. And so again, there are 3 formats: the square, the horizontal, and the vertical. Okay, so let's talk about video creation best practices. Video creation can be scary. How many people in here have created a video or reel that counts, posted a story, Snapchat? You created a video. If you ever press record on your video, you have. Guys, have never made a video, never made a reel? Anyone personal for a client, for practice?
Like for a class or something.
For class. What about the reason this side?
I actually was a public affairs specialist for the military, so we got to do wide marketing strategies, but for a DoD or through a DoD lens.
This guy makes videos all the time.
We're so good.
What types of videos you make? Movies, you cinematographer?
Yeah, we go about right here, come out to the Conway Farmers Market. We'll be out here till noon. I'm one of those guys.
Okay. That's
User-generated content.
Yeah, and there's a spec for that. And that actually does really well, especially if I usually like to take that front camera style and use it in like video ads that we do, because more authentic it comes off when you first get on camera, the more likely your ROI is for people not to like keep scrolling. Because if I think it's an ad, I'm gonna scroll because I think it's even an ad. But if I think this guy is just telling me about Conway Farmers Market again, boom, I hooked you, faked you, and sold you whatever product I'm trying to sell you. That's something we like to play around with content studio. Because again, video can be expensive, but it can be inexpensive if you implement some strategy and a little bit of reassurance. You gotta be confident in what you're producing. So it's important, like when you talk about to set goals, to set budget, and to set timeline. Again, you can use an iPhone or you can outsource. You can use your front camera, your back camera. We live in an age now where we have the tools for video creation. in video making. But the thing is, a lot of people get nervous about it because we do see the high quality things. Sometimes we release things from my department, I'm like, wow, that is real nice, it's real cinematic. And sometimes the videos that do the best, like Taylor that actually works with me, she just did a video we were talking about in our agency meeting, and it was just a trend where you like jump and you pull out of the shoe like a sign. That's like our most interactive video. It took her 10 minutes. It's hilarious. But we also on our agency socials create really high quality videos and have our video team bring the lights and everything. But what she did was using current trends and using our brand's voice and style to create something that took 10 minutes. And it did really well. So again, you can go either way, just depending on what you need. Brainstorming creative ideas is important, but making sure the ideas align with your brand's mission or goal. So if you're a skincare line, I mean, yes, a dancing video is cool, but does that really align with your skincare goals? How is that dance going to get people to purchase your item? So yes, like you talked about earlier, videos can be fun, but if you're making a bunch of videos without strategy and that don't make sense, it's a waste of effort. They also take time. Selecting the best channels for distribution. So again, getting that bang for dollar. Where you place your video is also important. I think in our other slide, I talked about showing up in the right spaces with your video. It's just as important as the video you create. And be consistent with your branding. Keep those brand colors, those brand fonts, those brand standards. Even if you're making a trend, take the trend and blend your brand into whatever that trend is for brand identity and brand consistency. I see a lot of people do it. I've seen people go viral off of something that wasn't true to their brand and it didn't have their brand identity in it. And so people came back looking for that content, and when they didn't find it, they didn't gain any followers. That one particular item went viral. But if you make a trend and you keep your brand in there, you can continue to do that and people will be subconsciously sold, like whatever that is. So you have to be careful of, yes, jump on trends, but figure out how you can make the trend within your brand guidelines. That's a tip from branding. Stick to your budget. If you want to go high quality again, high professional. Sometimes we think we can do everything ourselves. When sometimes hiring a professional is not as expensive as we think it is. Because if you plan, have some ideas, create a mood board. I think the next slide is a mood board for like, again, we'll use an example of a skincare line. If you take that to like a small town cinematographer, your college friend who's a videographer who needs to pick up a project or a freelancer, they are excited about the work and they're going to try to make it to the best of their abilities. So if you just come to them with the ideas, your brand mission, your budget, most importantly, your budget and where you want to place the videos. Actually, this is an example of some videos that we created. I can play one of them for the sake of time. Anyone choose? Which one you guys think?
Christmas.
Christmas? Exactly. Yeah, you got me like that. So I'll give you a little background on that video. It is one of my favorites, so shows that this is my favorite holiday. So one of our clients is LeBonner Children's Hospital in Memphis, and of course they have a big department, big marketing budget. But the marketing team had made commercials and they did all this stuff, but they needed something for social, and so they hired us to do a small budget social media video campaign that we could place on their channels vertically and run as ads to encourage people to come to visit Janet Tours, which is a big fundraiser for them. So this was fun to make, but also it performed really, really well. Like the ROI was through the roof and they loved it. And we had done another help you run. So they always call us when they wanna do something social media oriented, that's fun, but it also serves their marketing goals. So again, there are fun ways to create and to sell it. This time dancing actually worked. People enjoyed the costume dancing. So again, it's fine for the dancing. Just make sure like the pop-ups were serving the message. And they were like, the words are small, and they're little, I have to keep rewatching it. And I said, see, I got you. The words are small and you're trying to take in the information. You're gonna have to watch it at least 3 or 4 times to A, figure out what's going on. B, you're trying to say, oh, this is cute, with everything in the background, and you're reading, and then you're reading again for clarity. So I've already got 4 views out of 1 person, and that means that you stayed on this 45-second video for like 5 minutes. That's ROI for you. So that's how you make the numbers work to inform your strategy.
Well, I'll add to that. So when we think about what's the right message frequency, you talked about 4 from 1 video. On average, we see that for direct-to-consumer advertising, somebody needs to see the message at least 15 times before they will opt in and convert. So if we got 4 off of 1 video by using like very thoughtful, strategic ways of trying to help push through the clutter, that's types of ways to bring in social media and that vertical video style, from creating brand engagement to also push promotion of an event.
And then the logo is recognizable because it's on billboards, it's on flyers, it's at the hospital, it's on bags. So we are just strategically placing marketing on social.
I'm curious about music and audio. So I've recognized with a lot of business accounts on Instagram and stuff, most common music is copyrighted. So you can't use trending music, or technically you're in violation. What areas or things do you use to get copyright free?
So this is copyright free music. A lot of videographers I use are professionals, so they have like these copyright platforms and programs. But Facebook has a sound collection of royalty free music. Now you have to sift through it and sift and sift and sift. That's a whole job in itself. But yes, businesses, especially when you're running it as an ad or like using it for copyright laws, you have to go through those. Which is why your video needs to be good, because we don't get to capitalize on trending sounds or as businesses or paid advertisement as much as, or someone with a big budget, because you can buy the sound, pay, or get the rights if you got the money for that. So you just have to get creative. So that means that your video needs to be good, or your messaging, or the way. So again, use the trend, but trend jack, like make it your own. So you can avoid copyright infringement. But Facebook sound collection is what I use a lot. And then, I mean, maybe I'm not secret, but there are some really, really big businesses who have really good royalty-free sounds that you just say, like follow people who are inspo. Big companies sometimes can't use certain tracks either. They have teams doing the work, so just send their sounds to your sound collection. That's a hack. That's a good question. Yes, that'd be better because we can't. I know, there's so much low hanging fruit when you so we're talking about planning our content. I call them content buckets. So whenever you're making videos, you got to make a content bucket. So are we gonna inspire? Are we gonna inform? Are we trying to engage? And I like to do a mix of all 3, not at the same time, but sometimes you need to just make a video or video content that does nothing but make people laugh. Sometimes I wanna go to a brand's page and just chuckle and they're not selling me something. Sometimes, depending on what type of brand it is, I want education. If your brand is candles and you're using a holistic method where everything is what is it, combustible, composite. You can recycle everything, the wick is not harmful to the environment, then I need educational pieces on like where you source the wick, why is it not harmful to the environment, what sets you apart. So you just informing me, you're educating me in small bites, different ways, telling me what I need to know and why things are the way they are. And then sometimes employee focused, expertise focused, mission oriented. Whatever your mission is, it should be aligned with whatever video you make, whether it's a trend, it's funny, Christmas, whatever. You should always keep your mission in mind because you don't again want to create a bunch of video content that does nothing for your brand mission. Establish brand guidelines, we talked about that earlier. Don't be afraid to have fun. A video is supposed to be fun, especially when it comes to like marketing, video marketing. There is a fine line, like corporate fun, you know, it's gonna get you fired. You don't wanna get fired for making videos that are a little too fun. But I am pro pushing the envelope. I have to push the envelope at work. I will fight tooth and nail because we have the stats and we have the numbers to prove it. I'm like, we need to push the envelope. So have fun with it. If you don't enjoy it, it makes it even harder, especially if video is not. Because again, I'm not a cinematographer. I didn't go to school for videography. I just have a skill and a knack and a kind of knack strategy to create really cool video content. Planning is essential. Planning. Even if it's a small video, knowing what you want to do, who you want to use, how you want to execute it. Again, like the video that Taylor made that I mentioned, she told the guy who was in the video, she's like, can you bring 2 pair of pants to work? He's like, pair of pants. She's like, don't worry, I have a plan. And so, again, letting him know before he came to work so they could execute that video in 10 minutes because she planned it out. She told him what she needed. Execution and distribution. Again, where you can place these videos, where they can run, different formats, is your video suited for whatever platform. Again, this is like a mood board. This is like the pretty version of planning your content. What it really is a Word document. Shot 1, this, shot 2, this, props, this. How many cameras will I need? Do we need a mic? Really just but I do like to show people the nice version that I thought video planning was until I started video planning. It's a lot of words on paper telling people what to do, where to go, instructions, as many details as you can, so the way your vision is executed, especially if you're using someone else to create it, or even if you're trying to create it. Talking about social media video strategy, one of the biggest mistakes that brands make is being on too many platforms and on platforms where your audience is not. Marketing hack 101. Every company, especially like my papa had a company and he had a social media team, he was like, we need to be everywhere. I want to be on all of them. Knowing that your brand or business, unless your audience is on every single platform, shouldn't be on every platform is important. Usually 2 to 3 platforms is good, especially when it comes to video. And most of the platforms that your brand's audience is on prioritize the video. So that's really important to know. And every major social media platform now has a video component. There are some newer social media platforms that are prioritizing photograph and picture. But again, like we talked about, video is king right now, and it's looking to be trending that way forever and ever and ever. But you can water down your efforts being on too many platforms where your audience doesn't live. So pick 2 and do those really well. That's always my advice. And also, if you're trying to get like bang for buck, YouTube, a lot of people forget about YouTube, but if you have a niche or a service, there are a lot of people who go to YouTube. And audiences are on YouTube, and the audiences on YouTube are very engaged because they came there looking for something. And if you provide what they're looking for on YouTube, then you gain a really loyal follower. That's why YouTube is really still one of the top people platforms.
Before we move on, I want to double click this back just a little bit. So when we think about overall, how do people search for things? Google has been the premier place of choice. So when you think about why do people go to Google, it's because they're trying to solve one of like 3 problems. I want to know something, I want to do something, I want to go somewhere, and I want to buy something, so 4 things. Everything that you put into Google is based on those 4 type of buckets, right? So then what we see is that more and more people are starting to use social media in that same way.
Yes.
So if Google is number 1, the number 2 search platform currently in the space is YouTube. That's the next thing that's used for that. So that's what immediately pushes in the video content, as that's how people are searching to understand content. And now we're seeing an emerging rise in social media, specifically TikTok is on the rise for how to solve problems and people looking and using those search engines to find video content that brings in the information in a digestible way. So those are things that we're seeing from an overall trend. And in fact, the younger markets, the new emerging Gen Z is pushed, and Gen Alpha are pushing away from using Google as a search engine in general. So we're seeing that as an overall trend in the market of things to anticipate in the next 5 to 10 years that are going to entirely change the space of how content is consumed and how people are searching and interacting with information.
Yes, and it's good to know. So if you're trying to pitch to your client that they need to spend more money on video creation. You say people are going to TikTok. Me, I'm going to Europe in a month, and I'm using TikTok to plan my trip. I found some cool restaurants. I found cheap train tickets. I found a cheap hotel on TikTok. Those kids on TikTok know what they're talking about, and they show what they're talking about. They not only show me what the hotel is, where it's located, and how far it is from the tram, but they helped me plan my trip to Europe, and I was very grateful for it because I've saved a lot of money because traditionally I go to Google and Google prioritizes people who do really well with SEO or who have a really great, well-worded site or paid extra money for their site or their hotel to get at the top. Well, TikTok, the kids are showing me the boutique hotels that are mom and pop ran that are gorgeous with all these extra features. They just don't have SEO money. So it's been really cool. So I, as a millennial, am turning to TikTok to help with things like that. And I also went to TikTok the other day to figure out how to change my windshield wiper. So I was like, if they could just give me a quick 60-second video on how to do it, they got it. To save me an hour from going to the dealership and putting my windshield wiper and charging me for no reason. But yes, that's one of the ways that videos help me. Anybody else in here use video to search, plan anything? What's the last thing that you searched?
Planning my wedding right now, so I'm just gonna.
Wedding TikTok? You on wedding planning TikTok? Ooh, that's fine. Which was a lot. Anyone else?
I pretty much built my entire website off of YouTube videos and learning.
Okay.
I watched some videos on how to create a carousel on Photoshop using actual formatting parameters.
And I took a whole Photoshop class. So that's really intriguing. When I was in college, I was in there with a book, flipping through the page, step 1, step 2. It's the worst. Yes. So that is really cool. Is there anyone else using video to learn?
I think, some baking stuff that I'm craving these days.
Okay.
Quick recipes.
Okay. So again, we're all being influenced by videos and going to video content. So that's why it's important to integrate it into the marketing. Because if you're intaking it and someone else is intaking it, the clients need to be there. Have another treat.
Adina.
Okay, I'll play. Fun fact, she was my intro PR professor when I started my PR degree at UCA. And then now we're like colleagues. Like I interviewed her and she sent me emails so we could do work and stuff. So I'm like, look how the tops have turned. I told her when I first saw her, like as an adult, I was like, whatever I did when I was in college, it wasn't me. I was a whole nother guy who was still learning. I think she taught the evening class. It's like Wednesdays and really long. And I think I acted out because I was sleepy. I was very sleepy.
What does Experience Little Rock in color mean to you? When I hear Experience Little Rock in color, I just think about just seeing all the different attractions, not just ones that specifically are about Black culture, but just experiencing the city as a Black person. Be open to the possibilities, not only for yourself, but for your community, for the people around you. We have so many great small businesses here, so many great people making a difference that are making change in our city. And it's just like a great place to live, a great place to be. There's variety in Little Rock. It's like a big pot of vegetable soup. We have all sorts of vegetables in that pot. When you put them all together, it makes for a rich something delicious. When you experience Little Rock in color, that's what you get. We all come from various walks of life, but we're here working, living, and living together.
And so this video is just like a clip from a big marketing campaign that we did. It was an all video campaign focused at disclaimer. I know Adina's from Conway. She was at Conway Chamber. She was probably screaming. She know I showed you guys her trading on Conway to be in the right video, but she did it as a favor. But this is a overall video marketing campaign. So we shot one batch of horizontal videos, but we ran them on YouTube Pre-Roll in the horizontal format. Like we talked about earlier, getting that bang for buck. We also did vertical cuts that we ran organically and as ads on TikTok and Instagram. And then we had some in-feed posts in that square format that we ran on Facebook, and also on LinkedIn. So as you can see, we took one filming of this and we cut it into 60-second clips for each question. So we filmed one time, but we got like almost 30 video clips for different platforms and formats to be ran from that one campaign. So talk about bang for buck and how you can take your video budget and use it to create a campaign, like a whole entire campaign, a social first campaign that did really, really well. Like the ROI was really the comments, the engagement. And this was a storytelling campaign. So again, no one was really dancing. It was meant to pull on your heartstrings and to tell you the story of why Little Rock is cool based on people's experience. So we had some serious, some fun, some lighthearted. And so being strategic in how I planned those interviews really helped in the editing process and how we were able to like make that budget and that one shoot work. We're still running videos from this campaign to this day. I think we're wrapping up this month with Native American month with Native American guests. So again, we did a video campaign and we spread it all out through the year, and our clients have been happy. The numbers have been amazing, as they talked about all over. So again, making it stretch and making video work for you. And I think the next slide is, don't do this, I messed up. Chris. Oh, we're at the end, so now is the time, pretty much sums it up. Now is the time for questions if you have any. Again, the goal was to try to give you an overview, because I didn't know what everyone's skill set and level was when it came to video, because I can nerd out. I can walk you from beginning to end, if that's what you want, but Whitney deleted a lot of my slides, so.
Try, I gotta stay on top.
Any questions?
How do you go about creating your price formula for different video projects to include like your overhead costs, the hours for editing, but also be able to work with different client budgets?
Great question. So,
I'll tell you, you started too low.
yes, and I came into agency from freelancing. So when you freelance sometimes and work for yourself, you always start lower because you're trying to like catch the low hanging fruit in like the community and people. It's kind of twofold. A, you need to have an hourly rate set for like what you charge for your time for planning, putting things together, how much that costs, and then factor that into the budget. And then like if you're shooting it, or so let's like create an itemized list. So like if your freelancer is $125 an hour, you can book it for like 4 hours for like less than $600, and you can shoot more than one video at that time. So you can execute whatever the client's vision is, and then factor in editing time, because not all videographers edit, like cover editing costs and production costs. So editing can range anywhere from $50 an hour, depending on their skill set, to $500 an hour, depending on what you need. So it goes down to like hourly cost, like how much is the hourly value. Again, we did start to look at agency. I started out because I was newer.
Yeah, well, and so in the context, we had for years, we started the agency with managing social media for businesses, and the truth is it got stale. It was something that we weren't really investing enough in, and to the truth, before Chris came on board, it was, really, you're probably better doing this by yourself, and we'll just tell you the strategy on what to execute. So as an agency, we saw it as an opportunity of, we know why we're making the decision, we know why we're making the recommendation to clients, but we also have this as an opportunity to do better. So went out, found Chris, and said, okay, change it for us. And so we've had to start with a different barrier to entry, because what we've been charging for social media was a static image, posted on all same channels, and then let's just, rinse and repeat as we go. So then we had to come in with an opportunity to think about how that pricing works. So to your point, it's a rate sheet about what is the different work. You also want to include your equipment cost in there. And so then you're thinking about, from your pricing standpoint, how start with an A. My accounting professor gets that.
Your assets?
I press the button.
Thinking about how to accrue the cost and point that into like, basically every shoot that you would do has some sort of like rent fee. So that way you end up paying off your equipment So you wanna get that covered as like, even if it's a percentage, like every shoot that I do is gonna cover another 2 to 5% of what my overall gain is. So that way you're thinking about that operational cost that's included in it as well.
And then take into account like what the client is, how big their business is, also affects your model. Again, if you're helping a local store, a mom and pop store, and they wanna start integrating video, like realistically, do they have $500 for a video? So then you start there, and then you attribute to the cheaper the video, the more work you will have to do. Because the more work you do to make that video execution possible, the less you will have to outsource or pay someone else to do. So it really is like who your client is, because not every client can afford it. Because again, you can scare people off if you go in and you itemize the cost, and you might be being very honest and very little markup. But if I go to, again, like a mom and pop store that's local and say, it's gonna be $2,500 for me to create this video for your business, they're gonna go, no, we don't got that, it's too expensive, no, thank you, absolutely not, no, that's not for value. So it's about who your people are and like itemizing, like if you itemize yourself, you don't have to always share it with clients, but if you itemize for yourself, like how much time it'll take you to plan, to shoot, to do this, negotiate, again, with your freelancers, build a community of people, so you can say, hey, but I got $500, you can help me make 5 videos. Most of the time, freelancers, we're all here to help each other, so you're able to negotiate your costs that way. So, starting with budget, sometimes it's easier when you're like a freelancer entrepreneurial person, but then like on the agency side, starting with actually how much time is this gonna take and all the costs, like you said, helps. So now I can go in with an informed decision that I cannot make a video for this company or this client for less than this, because it just wouldn't be lucrative, it would make money, it wouldn't be in the red. And like learning what those numbers are, and if you'll be left in the red after, those types of things will help also inform your entrepreneurial like video efforts. And like we talked about, maximizing. So if you do use like charge for $200 per shoot, if you can show the value that you can use this for 3 months, it helps with that.
Yeah, and getting some case study out of it, figuring out what's gonna be the plan for, I did it once and so I proved that it works. Because from a business standpoint, everybody's looking for, that's, whatever the number is more than I wanna spend. They all, no matter what.
No matter who they are.
It's
always
more
like,
than I
this is
want
a lot, I don't spend it.
And so then it's coming to, what's the value that I get? Have you done this before? What type of experience do you have? What type of typical results do you get from this? So being able to have those data points ready and seeing what works, what doesn't work. Like I think on average, since Chris came in to lead the department, the overall content studio and content that we push out as an agency has increased from an average 1% engagement rate to 8% in 1 year. So just thinking about really having that intentional plan, we've been able to grow that. Staff has grown. It was originally just Chris. And so now that team has grown into something that we are invested in talking to clients about and being able to look at all kinds of video, creator house video, all types of things that come in depending on the brand and the goals.
But if you're making it, you don't have someone on your phone, still charge. Still charge for your time, your plan, your execution, but explain to them like, this is what it is, this is how it's handled, like this is, when you explain to clients the process and how much goes into it and the value, like we did with all these slides with all the information, I would use that information to pitch costs and stuff to clients, because they wanna know numbers, how is this benefiting me? It's gonna also help with that. So I know we gave you a lot of information, because I don't know a magic number, because it really does, there are a lot of factors that play into how much things cost.
Sure, everything's $10,000.
And yeah, starting
Everything's
2,000,
$10,000.
somebody's gonna say yes, you might get 20 no's, but.
So he was it.
Any other questions? All right, do we have any questions online? Well, thank you guys so much for sharing your knowledge with us today. We appreciate you.